Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. This is an article from Business Today and an infographic. You really don't see these too much anymore, but I think they're quite telling, a visualistic way to kind of tell a story about whatever subject it may be. And I think with precious metals does help to kind of bring into focus some things, depending on the source, obviously. But this is an interesting source. It's Business Today in India, and this is quite telling for sure. Why gold prices are on fire. Yes, this is an infographic that takes us to a little different viewpoint of silver through the rupee. It reached 40,000 rupees per 10 grams. So that's how they're measuring it. So not per ounce. But I think that's kind of a telling way to kind of look at it, not only from a different viewpoint, but to kind of see how the numbers play out when you think about a different currency in a country that really treasures gold. And even as Losing Louis had pointed out in his most recent video, are being taxed like crazy on it right now. And so what are some of the reasons fueling the rally? Let's see what this infographic tells us. Gold remains the safest bet for investors as the yellow metal has repeatedly outdone equities and mutual funds. This infographic looks at the trend of gold prices and what the future holds. So on the 26th of August, for the first time in history, gold reached the 40,000 rupee mark. Now keep in mind this is per 10 grams. Due to the international and domestic factors, gold has risen over 29% in the last 12 months. Now, also keep in mind there has been a slight pullback as well, or it's enough of a pullback, but still gold is above $1,500 an ounce. So here's gold prices in the last 12 months, and you can see this here, a 29% increase. So per 10 grams, gold was sitting a year ago at 31,230. Now it's at 40,220. Then the historical trend of gold prices. The price of gold has been on an upward trajectory since the 1920s. Till 2006, 10 grams of gold was sold for under 10,000 rupees. But in the last 10 years, the price has increased 176%. That's telling. Look at this. Pretty fascinating indeed. And notice this is after the Great Recession. And I think that was, kind of affected the whole world. But look at this. Pretty amazing. Look at 1970, it was 184. And now we see 2019, it's at record highs in India. Look at that. 33,345. Average gold price till the 29th of August 2019. And as you can see here, it's up higher than that. Maybe pull that back a little bit. But still, that's something else. And many of these other currencies around the world, you're seeing record highs. In the United States, we haven't reached those record highs yet. But it could be coming in due course. So what are the factors behind the rise in gold prices according to this infographic? Well, it says that gold is a safe haven for investors and its price often shoots up in times of uncertainty. The factors behind the recent spike in prices are heavy buying by central banks all around the world. Russia, China, and India have increased gold reserves by 20%, 4.6%, and 10.8% respectively. And I think that's quite telling for sure. There's a lot of these nations, especially the ones that are trying, and we know why they're a little bit nervous about the dollar, and they even with the dollar's strength, and even notwithstanding, I believe the fact that we're increasing our debt and what have you, which is not attractive for people who are dependent on your currency. I just think that these nations want to just be independent of the dollar. They don't want to be, quote, a slave to the dollar anymore. They want to have their own, I guess, autonomy. And I figured, well, this is where gold comes into place. And number 3 is demand for gold as safe haven goes up in times of global economic crisis. And that has been true throughout history for sure. In the last 12 months, gold has delivered better than the Sensex, and I guess that is an Indian or an Eastern, I guess some sort of, maybe it's like kind of like I'm not sure exactly if it's like the NASDAQ or some sort, possibly. I'm not sure really what that is, but it's some sort of investment vehicle, and gold has outperformed it. And increased import duty to 12.5% from 10%. So there's that tax that has been increased. And so that's causing the price to go up. Weak global economic outlook is another thing that is a real possibility that we're seeing weaker around the world. And that will eventually hurt America too. But that's something to kind of consider. We all are better off doing better around the world. But, so that is not good. If there's, some uncertainty and fear for economies around the world, which leads us to number 7, downbeat Asian markets. And then the number 8, the falling value of rupee makes import expensive, and that's for sure. The rupee is hurting. I think 1 rupee is worth 1.4 cents or something. 9, the net outflow of foreign investment in India. And then 10, the trade war between the U.S. and China, and that is something that is having an effect everywhere. So who sets the gold prices in India? The Indian Bullion Jewelers Association plays a key role in gold price determination in India. IBJA members include the biggest gold dealers in the country who provide their buy and sell price. IBJA then takes an average of these rates and determines the gold rate after adjusting taxes. That's very interesting indeed. So this is a telling part of the infographic that talks about the total gold reserves in the world. An estimated it says 472 tons. I think they may have missed a number there. Well, I guess that's how they do their numbers. I'm not sure exactly is available in the world, of which I guess that's maybe 193,472 tons have been mined throughout history. Out of that, around 2/3 have been mined after 1950. So a lot of gold has been mined in recent years, since 1950. I think that's quite telling for sure, that technology has improved and mechanization to be able to pull this gold out of the ground. So here's a breakup of the gold holdings. Central banks and global financial institutions have 33,230, or 17.2%. And again, the total above ground reserves is 193,472 tons. Private investments are 41,279, which is 21.3%. Jewelry makes up for the majority, 47%, and 92,043 tons. And you think about a lot of that is in India too, for sure. Other holdings are 26,921, and so that's very good, interesting. Here's the estimated below ground reserves at 54,000 tons. So that's not a whole lot left, according to their estimates. So who owns the most gold in terms of central banks? Well, the United States at 8,133.5 tons. And that's quite telling, quite a large amount there. Now, I know there's some people that don't believe we have all that gold. I happen to believe that it's there. I don't think there's a way to hide it. But on the other hand, less and less people care, it seems. So, but nonetheless, it's quite telling. And I think, if you think about considering the kind of the apathetic attitude of the public and with regards to the West in terms of gold, My guess is that probably, if anything could be hidden from Americans, where there may not be as much investigation to challenge the government and the private institution known as the Federal Reserve in this manner, it may be this. But I have a feeling it's there, and I know there's internal audits and the like that have been done, and I do believe our former U.S. Mint Director and even our current Secretary of the Treasury, who has visited and to see the gold itself there. Germany has the second highest gold reserves at 3,366.8 tons. I wouldn't mind just having 0.8 tons, or even 0.5 tons, or even 0.1 ton would be nice, you know. IMF says IMF, the International Monetary Fund, has the third largest reserves at 2,814. Italy's got 2,451.8. France is right next to it at 2,436.1. You know, Italy was hurting and still is hurting financially, but this could be the saving grace for them. Russia is catching up with France and Italy. Look at how much they have increased in just 1 year here, and their gold reserves, 2,207. China, which is also a gold producer, and this is what they're stating on the record, they may actually have more than this. You know, China is kind of a secretive country, and Russia, I guess, to some extent too, but China, since it's a gold producer, they may be holding their cards on this one. 1,926.5. Switzerland has 1,040. Japan 765.2, and India has got 618.2. And you'll notice that these are the three nations gathering, and India's made a step forward here in that acquisition. India, by the way, though through their gold holdings through their central bank, they have the most per capita of anybody in the world, any nation in the world there. Of course, that's not mentioned in this infographic, but in 2018, gold proved to be the best investment, the same as predicted for 2019. Now, I don't like to use that term investment with regards to precious metals, because even if it performs better than any of these other investment vehicles, its performance, I think, should be based off of the value of the currencies for which because this is it. Gold is money. Money doesn't pay dividends. Money is true money. The fungibility thereof is mere existence, or even in many cases lack thereof, for the sense of its rarity and demand, I think provides something that transcends investment. There we go. So return percentage in 2018, gold is up 7.1. Fixed deposit for 1 year is close behind with 6.5. The Sensex is the one that this asset class or whatever, I don't know if that's some sort of market fund like a Dow or something, it's 5.12. Nifty is 2.2. Real estate, look at that, it's barely above its water there. And then everything else is in the negatives there. Wow. So here is their gold price forecast per 10 grams. They think by September it's going to go to 46,892, and September of next year will go to 47,276. We'll see. I mean, I take these kind of lightly. I don't know what they're basing that off of. That's just some numbers they threw out there. It could be, for sure, but maybe not. So here's some gold fun facts. Only half of all gold ever mined has been shaped into jewelry. Well, that's interesting. And we saw from that chart above that was 47%, so that does make sense. B, Australia's Perth Mint cast the largest gold coin in 2012 and weighed 1 ton and measures 80 centimeters in diameter. Yes, and we've seen that actually came to New York. I posted a video about that. But it's fascinating. I think it's quite apropos that it has the 1 ton weight to it, because that 1 ton, I believe, is how gold is measured in for central bank holdings. So I think that's neat. Around 4,600 tons of gold is stored in the U.S. Bullion Depository at Fort Knox. And again, this is a controversial thing because some people don't believe it's there. D, If every single ounce of gold is placed together, the resulting cube will only measure around 21 meters on each side. It's fascinating to think about that if you did that, but you think gold is very dense, and even with it being shaped into coins, struck the space between the relief part of the coins is sacrosanct space. You take all that space away and put it all together at once, the density of it would be quite compact. Over 90% of the world's gold has been mined after the California gold rush, and that is fascinating indeed to think about that. That really it's been in the time of the modern age, the Industrial Revolution and the like, has brought up the technology and the wherewithal to be able to find all this gold, which begs the question, have we reached peak gold? Many people think we have, and so sooner or later, no amount of technology is going to catch up with the lack of gold in the ground at the current depths and ways to extract it. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out for sure. The population has also increased as well. That's something to consider. That the amount of gold mined since 1850 versus the population growth rate since then, I think, is something to keep in mind too. So in other words, gold may be as rare today per capita as it was in 1848 before the gold rush. Maybe not. It'd be an interesting theory to kind of look into to compare those numbers. Post your thoughts below. Why gold prices are on fire according to an Indian perspective. I think it's fascinating to get different perspectives on this, and this comes from Indian media. Post your thoughts below. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.